If I just think of a really simple thing, like I want to run a marathon, and I decide that I want to run a marathon, and I think, and 3 hours is a good time for a marathon, so I should aim for 3 hours. And I train really hard, and I do really well, and I get 3 hours and 5 minutes. I've failed my goal, but I actually may have done a really, really good job. We may know that I've done a really good job. On the other hand, someone else who happens to be an expert marathon runner and can run a marathon easily in 2 hours and 10 minutes, like that's world record time sort of thing. But if they're at that sort of Olympic level and they say, oh, I'm going to do it in 2 hours and 30 minutes, and then they trot along and they do it in 2 hours and 25 minutes, they've beaten their OKR, they've beaten their objective, they've beaten their goal that they knew in advance, but then have they done a really great job of what they could have done? Or alternatively, if I think about the idea of like, I'm going to launch a product that is going to, then the goal is to get a certain number of customers on the product. And then it turns out that suddenly there's a global pandemic or something else happens. Like it could be a pandemic, it could be just I learned something about my customers, or a customer competition launch or something. All that's happened here is I may have done a great job. I may be doing the best thing. I may have not been able to predict the outcome very well, but it might be a very good outcome. All right, but I might miss my goal, right? But that doesn't mean I've done a bad job. So what we're doing, if we try and use OKRs and the setting of the target as a way of making the assessment of a person's performance objective, I use quotes around objective, making it objective. All we're doing is we're taking all of the subjectivity and putting it before we know anything. So what I suggest we do instead of that is we use the OKR as a communication tool and a mechanism to drive performance, like to drive the best possible outcome, to drive people towards a goal so they know what they're doing. And then assess them based on actually working with them and knowing them. Now that means that yes, it is subjective, but it's subjective anyway. All that means is that it's now subjective and I have information. I can be subjective without information or subjective with information, but I can't be objective because there is no such thing as objectivity. The place where objectivity does work is when you have an operations team or a sales team. And the only thing you have with sales is there's a revenue number, hit the revenue number. But I generally recommend people don't use OKRs for sales. I recommend you use incentive schemes and not try and duplicate the goals and use quotas and incentive schemes. And with operations teams, you can use KPIs quite well, and doesn't necessarily need to have an OKR around those KPIs unless you're really trying to make a change.